Hello. Good afternoon. It's almost evening. This is such a weird place to be for coffee table talks this late in the afternoon. Eric, thank you for your flexibility today. And thank you to all of our audience for their flexibility too. So earlier today, the whole reason why we've shifted the time for today's session is I am recently been named a member of the board for my local ISACA chapter as a technical moderator. I had to Google that. Thanks. I was like, what does that do? It's in my wheelhouse. It's just they call it something different now, and it's called a technical moderator, where I got this fancy and free cup. Look at that. I love my fancy free cup. We had a great guest speaker. His name is Dr. James Davis, and he did a whole thing on blockchain. So I actually learned quite a bit. I love community events like that. It was awesome. It was a great experience. We did it downtown Baton Rouge. Very cool. And they feed you. I like that part. We had crawfish etouffee. I'm just saying.
You need to come on over on this side of the Macy-Dixon line, and we'll just get you real good with some ribs and barbecue.
Okay, I do really enjoy barbecue. Like, right? You don't keep a girlish figure like this being picky. But I do have an addiction to good tasting food. It's part of the reason why I started out in Indiana, moved here, and stayed. It's like, wow, it tastes real good around here.
That's right.
Fabulous. So I see everybody coming in. Hey, Justin, we see you. John Davis, good afternoon. That's my fearless leader, by the way.
Yeah, we're supposed to pick on him a little bit for not being here.
We see you, Wayne. Oh my gosh. So if y'all have noticed, if you're returning, my co-host, Will McCullen, cannot join us today because of the time shift, and that's my fault. So sad to not have Will on today, but that's okay. Eric and I decided in the pre-show that we have enough personality between the two of us. It's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Arnold. I'm the Human API with Secure Nation, and with me today as my guest is Eric Taylor, CEO of Barricade Cyber, a digital forensics and incident response company. Where are you guys located at?
Right outside of Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah?
That's
right. I hear Charleston's really pretty.
Oh, it is absolutely amazing. Today is 78 degrees as a high. If I wasn't going to be on calls all day, my normal attire is just literally a shirt and some shorts.
Nice. Yeah, normally I'm a little less fancy, especially on the coffee table talk, but I had to be all go to see the people professional, so I threw on the coat kind of thing.
And see, I dressed up for you, because I thought we were going to be having a professional conversation, so I need to dress the part.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
It's a great show. So I've been warning Rachel, I'm going to train wreck this entire thing because that's normally what I do. But when you get your host of a coffee show to stop to laugh from drinking coffee, you're doing pretty good.
You do. It's great. We should have some stars or a ranking system up somewhere. How many times Eric does neat human tricks? And that would be one of them. That's one of the neat human tricks. So digital forensics and incident response. Mm-hmm. How long have you been doing that?
Since 2004, roughly.
That's like 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Your company's old enough to drink.
Sometimes I think my company is drunk.
So how did you get into that? Did you just one day, were you little, was it like little baby Eric sitting playing with his blocks and he was like, you know what I'm going to do one day when I grow up? I'm going to do this.
How much time does this podcast last?
We got all the time in the world to kill. Go ahead. It's my show. We can go as long as we want.
Oh, we're going to strap in now. All right. So when I was just a little laddie, got introduced to an Atari 800 LX, learned they had a real big, thick book. For those who don't know, and this is not if memory serves me correctly, there was a book roughly a little bit thicker than this called BASIC. It's a programming language back in the day.
Oh, I've seen one of those at a garage sale.
That's right. Thanks. I am now old.
Welcome.
But I literally sat down and was typing away all these commands, and then I was able at the end press enter and a star or a turtle came on and drew a star on the TV, and I'm like, I'm freaking hooked.
That was it?
That was the start of the whole freaking nightmare that is my life, to be honest with you.
So it almost was that you were a little kid and you were like, I'm going to do this one day. That's pretty cool.
I didn't know I was going to do hacking, so it was just I knew I like computers and I like to mess with them and I like doing what I do.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry, getting pinged by somebody, but fast forward, I don't know, about 10 or so years, and home computers are really becoming a thing, and DOS 3.0, 3.1 was coming out just right before Windows 95 or
Yeah.
the Windows operating system. And I'm
Yeah.
messing with DOS and I'm breaking the operating system because I'm trying to figure out what this does and what that does. And
I
my son
remember
Kevin,
DOS. I grew up on DOS. That's
now we're starting to show your age.
I am timeless. Thank you very much.
That's right. We're about to change this from the coffee talk to the wine talk.
It's pretty late on a Friday. I mean,
So started messing with that. When I got to middle school is when all the interesting stuff happened, where I was actually realizing I was good at hacking and creating malware and things of that nature. And I've said it on other shows before. Hacking and stuff like that today is completely different than it was way back when,
so
right?
how was it way back when? What's
Those
the
Reddit
what's the difference?
I mean, you just don't have so much technology that you have to combat. You don't have EDRs. You don't have, sophisticated SIMs and people watching and stuff like that. So, you know, it was one of those things that people just put in front of you and they just left you alone because they didn't know any freaking better. So, ended up at school, at middle school, ended up finding the school. So again, we're gonna have a long ADHD moment. So the
That's
school
okay.
had different buildings. So you had the 200 building or whatever was for math, and then science building, and then history, but just all that, right?
Yeah.
So, and the buildings weren't supposed to be linked, but I found a way of how they're linked. Found my way into the office, and changing grades was boring. I never did all that, but I did hack NASA. Um,
Oh no.
So, and I created a malware that took AOL down in 95 for 3 days,
You're the reason I couldn't get into my chat room.
probably. If you remember it, that was me. And the only reason I got off with it was because the school literally said that they had the most secure network around. And
Who was
they,
making those kind of claims?
my parents, and then legal actually, it's like, yeah, they made this claim. This kid shouldn't have been able to do what he was able to do.
Wow.
Therefore, it's your fault. So the school went robo freaking killer on me. And it got to the point by the next year when I was a sophomore where I was not allowed to be in any room that had a computer connected to the token ring network.
Oh
And
no.
so library days, I wasn't even allowed on campus.
Oh
Um,
no.
by the time I trash you not, by the time senior year came around, I think I attended 13 days of my senior year. They just wanted me gone.
Oh, ouch.
Then got left, went to the United States Marine Corps for 0211. It was under Department of O&I, Office of Naval Intelligence at the time, but it was counter military intelligence. I didn't do a whole lot of great stuff. I was only in there for about 4.5 years. I learned some pretty cool stuff. Learned some human OSINT and things like that. Left there, went to work at Black Box, then went out on my own. And
For
I
those
always
who
wanted.
don't know what black box is, can you talk about what black box is?
Oh, Black Box is a Fortune, probably like 100 company. They're like an outsourced knock and help desk. So I got all of my Cisco certs, like when Cisco was the de facto certification.
Yeah.
So I originally cut my teeth on Cisco Call Manager and was handling all the VoIP for companies like Walmart, not Best Buy, but Lowe's, Home Depot, like all those other Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
I was managing all that along with some of the bases for some of the Air Force bases and things of that nature. So I was having fun doing all that. So then left there to become a subcontractor for a black box because yay, subcontractors make more money. Boo, you get laid off faster than anybody. And
Yeah,
then
you're the first ones. They're
yeah,
like, yep.
so you pretty much find yourself on your butt. So just started up a company, started doing it. And I always wanted to get back to cybersecurity, but at the time, we already had our second child, Hunter. Those who've been here, forgive me. I'm gonna talk about this for a moment for people who are new to me. But Hunter was born with a half a heart, went through 4 open heart surgeries, and after that, I wanted to get into I wanted to get back into cybersecurity. You know, he was kind of stable. We didn't know about the potential heart transplant coming up soon and all this other stuff, where we ended up losing him. But there was that time there right before COVID and all that garbage
Yeah.
where I wanted to get back into it. But I didn't know. It was like, look, I've got a family who depends on me. It's not just me being YOLO Eric,
Yeah.
just doing whatever he wants to. I got a family that depends on me. I definitely got a little kid that's desperately depends on a family structure. So, you know, I didn't want to just go in and do all that stuff. So while still doing MSP work and I was fading that out, I was starting to get into bug bounty. So I
Oh,
was
cool.
so I was like, okay, this is a platform that I'm allowed to go onto and hack, make
Right.
some money, which is a bonus,
Right.
but I'm able to like, okay, can I do this? Can I stay at that limit without getting myself into trouble? I'm like, this
Right.
is perfect. So I'm doing that and I'm getting success. You know, I'm making a bunch of money and not, I mean, I'm no Nahamsec if you're into that sector. You know, I'm no Stoke. You know, I'm none of these bigger guys. You know, I was good for what I did, but I'm not uber good or anything like that. But anyway, um, you know, once I got to the big score that I had with TeamViewer, where I got put on their Hall of Fame for 2022, I'm like, all right, this is something cool. You know, I'm able to stay in this line. And right about that, right before COVID, it was really getting into digital forensics, where you know people were seeing me doing the pen testing, they were seeing me doing all this stuff. It's like we really need to bring you in on this because you see how the threat actors act in the environment. You've got the system network administrator stuff, you've got sysadmin, you got all this other experience. We need you to come in on these cases and give us some fresh eyes on some cases. I'm like, all right, sure, whatever.
Nice.
Um, so I started doing that and I fell in love with it. I'm like, this is perfect. You know, I'm hunting evil. You know, granted, yeah, if your eyes start going out like mine have, so you start wearing glasses and stuff. But yeah, I just found a real passion for, you know, just parsing through logs and really hunting evil. And ever since then, I built Barricade um, around digital forensics and incident response. And this is what we do.
That's very cool.
It's a really long winded answer.
No, that's great. That's the one I wanted. I wanted a whole picture kind of thing. That's so
Just don't
what
ask me to
is
go all Bob Ross on you.
no. Oh, we're gonna have happy little trees.
This little happy tree penetrated that bush.
James James Randolph commented at some point while you were chatting, as long as he wasn't in charge at Target. Uh
Target
no,
breach?
Target Reach. Yeah, the one, you know, the one heard around the world. The one that every article about anything that's like FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt sounding is like, but Target. I'm like, all right, look, somebody had to go first, okay? Like, stuff happens. It's okay. No, that was pretty solid. Thanks, Justin. Very cool. I don't even know where to go from here because I'm just like, I just stars in my eyeballs. Like, wow. This is okay.
Uh-oh, I
What can I
starstruck Rachel. What's
what
going on with
you
this?
did? What can wait, okay. Can you share some stories? Can you do story time? Like, what's the most screwed up thing you've ever had your hands on?
John McQuiggan with the joke. Oh my God.
That's not why Walmart has not been breached, because they're not a target. Ouch.
James McQuiggan, you're always good for a good joke, good sir.
All right, James, if you and I aren't friends, we're about to be friends.
Sorry, where were you going?
Sorry. No. So what's the craziest incident that you've been asked to sit on, like what, and consult or do some of the work?
So I yeah, I could talk about this one.
Okay. I was
The
gonna give you lots of time to consider it, right? Because you gotta pull that file out, suddenly flash, remember your NDA and how long it lasted.
I mean, most of our cases under attorney-client privilege, so you can't get too granular. You can talk.
No, no,
It's
no.
kind of like a doctor's, like, oh,
Be
we've had
vague.
this case over here, and give
Yeah.
broad spectrum. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah. No, be vague.
so
Be vague, right?
a
I
lot of
understand.
times, as much as I tried to preface it, I'm not a therapist by any means. But I feel a lot of times, especially in the first week of an incident, I become a therapist
Oh yeah.
because people are losing their ever loving mind naturally because this business is their baby. It's their
Oh yeah.
blood, their sweat, and their
Mhm.
tears.
Yep.
About 2, maybe 3 years ago, we were literally on the second or third day, and we see the owner talking to us, and we're getting more information because we're looking at the logs. We're like, What's this? Is this normal?" And all this other stuff. And you just see him kind of just doing this number here, and just boom.
No.
Luckily, the he kind of had like a hodgepodge setup in his home or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so we actually had his home address as part of our engagement letter. So we're on the call. We called 911. Like, we think this dude just stroked or collapsed or something, and this is his address. We're on stream with him right now. Yeah, Jacob. So those who don't know, Justin Gold works for me. For him thinking that I'm a therapist is he's probably about to fall out of his chair himself. But so we were on a call, and we had they were like trying to get in, and they're like, we can't get in. I'm like, I don't break the freaking door.
Right.
We've seen him fall over, and he hasn't come back up. And as far as we know, there's nobody else in the house.
Oh
But yeah,
wow.
he had a full on stroke on camera with us.
What a scary situation.
Yeah. So just trying to make
Wow.
sure people, you know, take breaks, and especially the victims and their organizations, you know, breathe. You would think a lot of stuff would just be normal, but it's just not. When you're just so ingrained, and your whole world looks like it's crumbling around you, it just becomes a complete nightmare.
Look, I'm married to a principal SOC analyst, and this like the baseline anxiety that just exists all the time
Hmm.
for no particular reason at all is tangible.
Yeah.
Like we do a lot of there are sleepless nights for no reason kind of thing where I'm like, "Hon, you gotta calm down and just breathe all the way out like it's gonna be all right," kind of thing. And he's like, "No, that one really bugs me," and then he'll get up and go digging through logs and everything else just to like quadruple, which is great, right? That's what makes him a great principal SOC analyst, is that he does have that care and consideration and that level of anxiety that he's going to quadruple check his own answer to his own work,
Hmm.
right? Like several times just to be sure, because something might have seemed funny on one what they decided was a false positive kind of situation.
Yeah.
Um, so luckily for Josh and I both, well, not luckily, right? Because there's a lot of skill and care that goes into it, but he's never worked for a company that has been breached, like has never had to do that, and I've never have been right. Whenever I'm called into a conversation, it's happy time. Somebody got approved for budget. Now we're gonna go shopping. We're going to learn about a bunch of technologies and make sure we follow a process that ensures that nobody is sad whenever they purchase that service or that software or whatever it is. So that kind of stuff is that's I think that's why my brain is so excited and electrified to just ask you questions, because you're on the ass end of that. You're like, when it goes to shit, there's Eric.
Pretty
Right?
much. When the
Yeah.
shit hits the fan, you call us, and we're
I
one of
love
those
it.
companies.
I love it. We're like two happy little bookends sitting here on the stream today. So it's a lot. That's anyway, that gets me all excited and interested. Um, so you're the therapist for the first week. So let's talk about like just overall what you see as trends for when you're called in, when you after your first week of therapy, and then how long does it usually take for you to un I'm trying not to curse, but I
Yeah, see,
feel
you set the rule limit. You did.
how long does it take for you to clean all of the shit off the fan? Like like how long does that what's the longest one you've ever had, the shortest one, like
I think the
something on the
longest
timeline?
one I had was 9 months long.
Oh.
It was a massive blast radius. Um, there was, it was pretty much across the U.S.
Wow.
Maybe in 6 months. It was pretty long. We had one a couple years ago that was a little over a year.
Wow.
Um, and it was mostly we got the logs very quickly, thankfully, because we have a way to ingest all the logs as fast as possible, or at least get the logs in.
Yeah.
But in ingesting and processing the logs just takes effing forever.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got 4 forensic workstations chewing through terabytes of data a day.
Right.
So sometimes those bigger cases, it unfortunately just takes time to go through it. And um, thankfully, the business had very good backups. So, we were able to get
Yay,
in.
backups.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, I'll get to a tech tip, for those people who are out there in a moment. But, they had backups. We were able to get our forensics and get the F out of the way. And that's what, if we can, you don't have to, this is not a barricade pitch by any means, but, partner with a forensic firm, or if you're in the thick of it, you know, start asking them questions to realize, because unfortunately, to realize they understand their scope and their limited scope and reality around the incident. Unfortunately, a lot of forensic firms are only focused on their forensics. They don't care about the recovery. They don't care about threat actor communications. They don't care about all that stuff. They just care about their little world. And however long it takes them is however long it takes them. There's several companies that are out there, not many, that actually realize, you know, well, some digital forensics do threat actor, they do recovery. They have numerous items that they can offer in an engagement. But if their scope is limited to threat actor communications and or forensics, their
Yeah.
job is to hurry up and collect the freaking information and get the F out of the way.
Gotcha.
Let recovery happen if they're able to.
Right.
Right? And that's the biggest thing, right? Um, Forensics 9 times out of 10 always takes longer. It's the longest piece. And then you got the trailing e-discovery and notifications and all that stuff that lingers on for months and even years after the fact. But
Right.
forensics is typically the longest piece of the equation. Did I answer your question, or I just go around on a rabbit hole in a full ADHD moment for you?
No, you got
Okay.
there. You're fine. No, that's a really long process. So what what are the deliverables that somebody can expect from a DFIR engagement? Like what sort of reporting are you
That
able to
that
offer?
that depends. Unfortunately, I'm gonna put my legal hat on, and
Okay.
I did. I'm not a lawyer, but I just stayed at a Motel 6 last night. But anyway,
Hey,
so if it is if the client did not invoke counsel, so we're not under an attorney-client privilege matter,
okay.
we can disclose all the information that they want disclosed. We'll charge or push them back like, do you really want this freaking crap we're putting on paper? Because that's discoverable, and you're going to be required to notify people because of this. And they're like, yeah, we want that, or no, that's a good point. We don't want that literally on paper. Most of the time, I would say about 94, 95% roughly is all attorney-client privilege. So we report our findings verbally, literally on a call like this, not stream, but Teams, Zoom, whatever the case
Right.
is.
Yeah, I didn't figure
Um,
it'd be a public stream.
We're going to talk about XYZ breach today. Here's the
I
findings.
mean, it's not like we're all chilling in a signal chat giving away war secrets.
Well, I am normally in a signal chat giving away secrets, though, to counsel. But anyway, I just said that at the right time to see if you'll spit out that coffee. It's a game to me now.
I did good. I did good.
But yeah, a lot of counsel will advise clients what they want and don't want on a report. So 9 times out of 10, we submit our report to counsel privately, so they get a chance to review it. Me and a legal counsel, or what they call breach coach or breach counsel, depending on who you talk to, we'll have 1 or 2 follow-up calls. Like, we need this removed, we need this added. We really, can we add this? Things of that nature. And then we come together with a finalized report for publication.
This is very serious.
It gets to be.
It is.
That's why you really need to know what you're doing in forensics and incident response.
Oh,
and let me just go down another rabbit hole. Why not? We're here.
Sure.
This is
I
not
would like to mention, though, this is why I was excited about sitting down with you for this conversation. Whenever I looked into what it was that you do and what your company does, I have one of my favorite incident response or digital forensics people is Kathy Ullman, and I hang out with her quite a bit. She's a speaker. She goes to GERCON every year. She's written a book or 2, I think, at this point. I don't know. I think I know at least 1, and she's very cool people. She explains, she dumbs stuff down for me all the time, because my area of expertise is like vendor relationships, processes, how to be better partners, right? Like, that's my thing. And then I'm like 2 inches deep on tech. Like, I can recognize what it does. I know what category it fits into the tech stack at a glance, kind of stuff. But other than that, this is a good day for Rachel to learn lots of stuff. I hung out with a blockchain expert that teaches it at LSU earlier today, and now I'm hanging out with DFIR, which is great. So like, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around what questions I can ask, because I know it is very sensitive and very serious. Will McCall.
I mean, ask away. I will skirt the line, and if it's just something I cannot absolutely answer, I'll just like, I'm not privileged to answer that question, unfortunately. And
Wayne has a good question. How do you fit down a rabbit hole?
Wayne, Wayne, I'm fat. You know that, Wayne. Stop picking on me, Wayne.
Jeez, Wayne. We need a body shame.
I'm working on it. Dadgummit.
I am not. I had a fat lunch. It was big. No, so anyway, I'm trying to wrap my brain around what questions I'm allowed to ask, and thank you for giving me permission to just ask questions and then you not answer them. That's great. Thank you. That's fantastic. I think everybody in our audience might be a little tired today too. Normally we have questions popping off left and right. It's because you guys miss Will. That's what it is. I can tell already. Oh man. So speaking of Will, so Will always represents, questions that he feels are valuable for the students at Pima Community College, which tune in and watch this quite a bit too.
Okay.
From a student perspective, how would one go from I want to work in cybersecurity to figuring out that that's a big vague thing, right? What are you going to specialize in cybersecurity? How would they know that their interest and their skill set may lead to being someone that's keen for digital forensics and or incident response?
We're going to lose all your viewers.
Why?
Don't. This is literally one field that's uber specialized. So I'll break this thing down, okay?
Okay.
People, and this is going to bash on them. I mean this lovingly.
Okay.
But cybersecurity is not freaking what you see on TV and what you see in the movies.
No, absolutely not.
It's not that.
No.
You're not going down a CGI hall, looking at pretty lights like the Matrix or the Hackers Show or whatever.
No.
NCIS is not real.
No.
You don't got a McGee that can breach into the NSA firewall because he works in NCIS in under 30 seconds. It doesn't freaking happen that way.
Right.
I'll get back to that. But it's like when you go to school to be a doctor. All
Right.
right. You're going to school, you do your general education, then you go into residency, and then you become a doctor, and then you go for specializations. Like you're going to be, um, go from family doctor to pediatric doctor, and then you're going to focus on pediatric cardiology, pediatric ICU, or you're going to do cardiovascular and then go in that way. So, like, where is your thing? So, you're not going to get, hired as a digital forensics incident response person when you're a janitor. I'm
Right.
sorry. I know that the colleges like to tell you that. I'm not saying that one that will teaches that does, but
No, they
there's a lot
don't.
of
That's
okay,
why they participate in stuff like this. Is because they
yeah.
want the truth the way that it is. And no, Will's program at Pima does not tout serious overshoots. Like it just they don't mess it up. They're
People,
pretty honest with everybody.
when you get into digital forensics and incident response, you are literally hunting evil. And if you get thrown into the deep end, looking at logs, you don't know what's normal and what's not.
Right.
You have no educational experience about it at all. And so you're going to spend massive amount of times looking at a log that any halfway senior person will be like, that's a normal connection. What the F are you doing over here? You spent 4 hours chasing down this rabbit hole that's completely normal, right? So you need to go through help desk, unfortunately, maybe SOC analyst, go up those rails, as much as I hate to say corporate ladder, but you need to get up there. And you've got to want to do this. Rachel, I'm sure you can attest to this all day long, especially with your husband and a SOC practitioner. Um, this industry will chew you up and spit you out if you're only in it for the money.
Oh
If you,
yeah, no.
yeah,
Yeah, don't do it for the money.
please.
That's what the schools will sell you on is that
Hmm.
you're going to make so much money, which you know what?
You
Granted,
can.
you're going to make you're going to make more money than in other industries that I've seen doing the same amount of work, being the same level of stressed out. But you can't because there is so much stress and skill that's needed and then the constant it's not something you can become really an expert in.
Hmm.
You can have lots of wisdom and
Yes.
lots of experience, right? But you're never actually going to be an expert. So if anybody's here listening and you're like, "Well, I'm an expert." No, I'm sorry, honey, you're not. Yeah, it changes every day, right? It literally like minute to minute can change overnight and now you've got to learn about something else new. You're never going to nail down being an expert in
Yeah, let's
cybersecurity.
just take up something that's going on this week or over the past week, maybe too long or two now. The big Oracle debacle that's going on. So you have threat actors talking about, oh, we have all your data. Oracle says they don't. You have clients with Oracle. You're like, are they impacted? Are they not impacted? How do I do? Da, da, da. And you're
Yeah.
going through and trying to discern all this information. In cybersecurity, there's so much information, disinformation, false information.
Yep.
There's, intel, counter intel. It's all over the place. And now we're starting to, if you're in like true CTI um, feeds, you're starting to get some of the intel that's actually being leaked out. So now you're able to start going through and processing. So it's literally 5:35 on a Friday afternoon. And after I get done with this one, and I have a call with Microsoft to fix a freaking bug in our CRM, then I get to go look through these logs. Like, okay, now that I have what Hudson Rock claimed that they are the only people to have, I get to go through these 10,000 lines and see if any of my clients are impacted. And then you put that into your CTI because you may get a prospect. Be like, hey,
For everybody that doesn't know what CTI means,
sorry,
can you tell us?
cyber threat intel.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I had
Sorry.
my brain almost rebooted on that one.
I promise everybody that we try to keep the acronym short. Also, if you heard Eric mention CRM, that's a customer relationship
Relation man.
management. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we're talking about databases.
Yep.
different data sets. Sorry.
Yeah, we're
One is
making a shift
one is
from
specific.
Salesforce over
Yeah,
to
one
Dynamics 365, and it's
right,
a mess. I'm like,
right. One is specific to customer information and
mm,
notes that may be collected on them as Eric goes and his team go and talk to them. And then the other one is threat intelligence feeds,
yep,
basically. Okay, sorry. Continue.
yep. So I mean, you're not only got your day-to-day job that you're going through and looking at all your SOC alerts or all the cases that you're looking at. Um, like this weekend, I'm going to be going back. I got a case that is under the gun where I got to go revisit from a year ago and reanalyze a bunch of stuff. So I got to have it done like by Tuesday, I think. So my weekend is gone, right?
Yeah.
And these are the things that you come across when you do this stuff. So, if you think this is definitely a 9 to 5 job and then you can go home, maybe your first couple years, but once you get tenure and you're get a little bit more senior,
Yeah.
it you're going to really realize that okay, Thursdays are typically my Wednesdays and Thursdays are typically our quiet days, at least in my business. Maybe
Yeah.
not where Rachel's at or anything else like that, but that's where I try to plan family events
Right.
because I know I could typically get out around 5 or 6 o'clock. Because Friday, no, you're not hanging out with that barbecue down the street. You're not doing all this other stuff. It's not happening.
No,
So,
bud.
you know, you got to figure out your balance. So your work life balance becomes a spaghetti mess that you got to figure out.
Yep. And you got to be very agile. All my project managers out there, how you like them apples. Amber asks or says that she finds it hard to even get an interview for a help desk job, cyber certified and working on
Hmm.
a comp sci degree.
Oh,
Okay,
let's go down that rabbit hole,
I have some advice for this that
please.
I hear works really well. So, one, you're doing a great job. You've shown up to a networking event. This is a networking event. This is the type of event where Amber, I see you're coming from LinkedIn. So, what you'll do is you'll go into when you're in the events page, right? There's going to be a list of attendees that you can click into as an attendee, and you can go down that list and just reach out and start connecting with people.
Hmm.
Say, hey, I saw you were on the coffee table talks. I'm new. Tell them exactly what you just told us here, right? That you're cyber certified and working on a comp sci degree, and you're looking to connect with more professionals across the board, kind of thing. And you may message everybody on the coffee table talks. I like to think that everyone that attends coffee table talks is very open to those connections. If you aren't, that's okay too. That's fine. I get it. Sometimes people are flooded with mentoring they're already doing, or they're just like, I'm not sure. I don't want to add another connection right now, that kind of stuff, right? But you got to try, Amber. And you're already doing really good because you're here. You showed up. Also, look for any local events in your area. If you need help finding events that are local to you, let me know. You can DM me to the side. I'll be happy to have Meg, who, by the way, Meg is moderating in the background. She's the one that's answering as host in the chat back and forth and making sure we have our QR codes up at the right time and popping your comments and questions down at the bottom for us. So we
Oh,
love Meg.
can we do a show and tell?
Oh, we can. Yeah.
Okay, here, let
But
me.
yeah, reach out to me, Amber, and I'll be more than happy to help give you some tips on where to go from here. I don't mind at all. That's one of my favorite things to do. Oh, Aaron too. Aaron, do the same thing. Look, we'll all get on a call. Are we about to have a workshop? You guys are about to get me to do a workshop.
Dude, we're about to. I told you I'm going to go on different tangents. Miss Meg, if you could share my screen.
I got it.
Awesome.
No, hang on.
So,
Guys, we're gonna close the chat down for just a second. You're still chatting, but it's just not gonna be on the overlay. Like we
all
can
right.
still see your comments.
So I've been working diligently to get rid of stuff, but this is one tip for you. So when you're trying to connect with people on LinkedIn, I look at Erin. She's certified in cybersecurity, IC3. You know what? Oh, and she even left a comment, even better. So
She
you know
did.
what, Erin, I'm going to accept you.
Aaron, you did
Incident
great.
See, I look at these titles. Incident
Yep.
responder, threat hunter. Okay, Mark, I'm going to accept that.
Yep, makes
Technology and
sense.
business. No, I'm ignoring that. That looks like a salesperson.
Yep.
Cyber empowering CMEs. No, that looks like a salesperson. Insurance claim. No, that's going to be another salesperson as well. So, we're just not going to do those. So, that's some tips there for you. Now, to go back to your original question, Um, well, before I go to that, so when you trying to message people and we're all getting a bunch of messages and connection requests, I am literally filtering like, does your first line look like you're in my cybersecurity industry?
Right.
If so, great,
Right.
accepted, right? If you're insurance carrier, legal firm, but it's specific to us. Like we have some sort of reason to be connected. I'm not going to connect with my um, just some JP Morgan Chase broker or whatever the case is, right? So make sure that first line is there. It'd be a lot cooler if you did. I will say from a job market perspective. So we were talking before the show about, Tamara who's getting ready to leave us to go out for some other work. And before we found Lisa, I literally put onto LinkedIn a job offer for or job opening for that post. In 4 hours, I had 480 some people respond.
It's a lot.
And I've talked about this before, not here though, but as a small business, literally less than 5 people in the organization at Barricade. Do you think we have time to go through that?
No, absolutely
No,
not.
no. And then we've seen the fraud come in. It's like, okay, we're gonna put in LinkedIn, they allow you to put questions in, like pre-qualifying questions. Like, okay, do you work in the cybersecurity industry already? If yes, tell me what. Do you have any experience with being with an insurance carrier? Are you experienced with legal, breach coaches? We actually did a one-to-one relationship of like who previously filed, then who got rejected instantly because they didn't meet our qualifications, and then immediately went back and refiled it with all the proper answers they needed to get through it.
Yeah.
And we still ended up with over 1,000. Um, and what Rachel was saying is literally so spot on, because Lisa, who if you look at our profile, she literally started a couple weeks ago, but she came from a network connection.
Yeah.
She knew Tamara. She knew a couple other folks. We had a couple interviews with her, and after some back and forth and him hauling around a little bit, but she got on. But she wasn't from the applications, right? So getting in with those networks and communicating with folks and getting involved is going to get you that job, because unfortunately, you got people from Chick-fil-A, and nothing against fast food people, that's straight out of college that wants to be senior, to janitors, to, you pick your profession. They want that pie in the sky because they see that dollar amount and they see what's been on TV, kind of like we we're talking about before.
Yeah.
And we can't filter. I feel so bad for those bigger organizations that are, that's why people are, they feel like they're applying to a ghost job potentially. My girl Lisa, that's who I was talking about.
Yeah. There she is.
Um, um, so people think that they're applying to a ghost job, and it could very well possibly be a ghost job. There is a mentality in the industry where, or at least a conspiracy theory, if you will, that there's government grants that are available if you're a cybersecurity company who leaves a job opening open for too long. I've never found it, so I don't know how true it is, but I've heard it enough times. Like there may be something to that. So that may be why there's some ghost jobs. But the simple fact of, if you're trying to get into Red Canary, Mandiant, Kroll, Mox 5, Palo Alto, just any of those big players, just know your resume that you just submitted probably just went into a big freaking dumpster of so many people
It
that they
does.
get every day. If I got over 1,000 and under a day,
Yep.
I'd hate to see what those bigger companies get in half a day to
Yeah.
a day. You
Oh,
know,
and for those that aren't aware, because I have worked at big corporate environments before, it is always a good idea if you see a job posting or opening somewhere and it's for those mid or senior levels. I'm gonna tell you right now, they already got somebody in mind.
they're just doing their due diligence.
They are. But for those lower, for the entry stuff, like the more, you don't have to have a background specific to whatever, right? The help desk I've heard is like that quite often. They're like, you don't have to have previous help desk experience to be help desk. Just, you got to be not a jerk. and friendly with and good with customers and have kind of a customer service mentality and want to help people, right? It's in the title, help desk.
Hmm.
It's kind of important that you have that heart about you.
And I
But
know myself and other companies literally will take people from fast food.
there's because they're great customer
They
service. I
are.
worked in restaurants forever. Look how friendly I am.
Hmm.
It's because I know what
Yeah,
that life
just
is like working for tips. Okay.
yeah, Justin exactly. And he, I mean, I'm going to talk about Justin, but he worked in municipalities.
Yeah.
So he went fast food. He went work municipality. He's working for us. Joseph was at Staples
Right.
before he went off to Palo Alto
Yeah.
Unit 42. I mean,
Retail and food service
yeah,
industry, man. That's where all
it's
your
the
customer
best.
service people are.
Yeah,
Um,
it's best to come into help desk for that. That's an easy pivot.
yeah. So, and I think that is just anyway. So if you see the help desk one, don't apply right away, especially if it's a bigger corporate environment where especially if you notice that it's redirecting you to sign up for a Workday account to submit your resume. Pause, go back, look at the employees at that company and search for the help desk manager. Okay, find that hiring person or someone who might be adjacent or close. It looks like the title is similar, and ask and be honest. Say, hey, I noticed your company has a job opening. I would really love to apply. Can you tell me who the hiring manager is? Sometimes they're
Mhm.
really friendly about that. They're like, yeah, sure, here, this is the person that you need to go talk to. So, especially with the Workday piece, all right, that's important. I'm going to come back. I'm going to circle all this around. So, you go find the person, the hiring manager, right? Go use your communication skills to find that person. And then you're like, this was a Workday link. Maybe there's somebody that can create you a recommendation link.
Mhm.
Okay. And offer to chat with them over virtual coffee beforehand, right? Because you don't want somebody just blindly recommending you, but kind of like a pre-interview sort of thing. Ask them if they wouldn't mind chatting with you for a few minutes over the phone or over a video call or something. And by the end of it, oh, I was like, what's going on? No, I'm on time. And
No, I'm
usually
still your assistant, ma'am.
yeah, I got you. That's fine. She's fabulous. So, and she's not my assistant. She's a communications manager. So
Oh,
it's okay. It's fine. So, yeah, by the end of that first like pre-interview call, ask them, is there any chance that you might create a recommendation link? So the recommendation link, this is important, through especially through systems like Workday, will like it creates a unique link for you to apply to that job role that associates that recommendation's name, that internal person to, and it kind of gets bumped to the top of the pile of like thousands of applicants. This is a good idea. I'm so glad everybody stopped by for coffee for all of this hiring process strategy that we just dumped on them.
who knew that digital forensics was going to come to hiring?
It's a thing. What is the biggest challenge you find when working with organizations that do not want to expose they've been breached? Non SEC traded. Thank you. I'm glad that you mentioned that. That is a good question. Thanks, James.
We have to work in the direction of our client. At the end of the day, whether it's attorney client or if they vote counsel or not, we can't force them to disclose. We can tell
That's
them about the
good.
potential legal ramifications. I use this book as a reference a lot, but we actually have a book here
It's
for,
backwards. Can you read what the title is for us?
oh, is it cybersecurity, data privacy, and desktop reference? So this book literally tells me what's considered PII for every state. So
Nice.
we can be like, oh, well, you have this many records. We really should do some stuff, right? Is it the
Mhm.
end all be all for everything? No, but at least for a forensics firm, it's a very good reference tool. But at the end of the day, we can advise all day long, but it really is the impacted entity that has to make the decision to go down that. If they do have insurance coverage and they've put them on notice and made a claim, then most of the time the insurance carrier will mandate notification and everything like that.
Yeah. I got you. So you guys are not the ones that tell them when and how to disclose. You
That's
just
correct.
assist them with the disclosure if it's necessary,
Hmm.
and they tell you when it's necessary.
They make the how best to, so there's typically most digital forensics don't do e-discovery. There's typically another party that does that works with breach counsel in the incident that happens.
Okay.
Um, we a lot of times when we'll get the information from the threat actor as part of our workflow, we'll assess what files were potentially. We'll take a copy and store them for e-discovery processing. They go through and find all the PII, name, address, phone number, SSN, account numbers, the whole gamut that could be considered, and then do cross-referencing on what state it is, how many numbers, because Maryland is a zero or a one-person notification law or state. So one person's impacted, you're notifying that one person. There's other states that are 5,000, 10,000, so forth and so on. So each state by their own attorney general is I'm just trying to keep
Keep
up.
up.
So they have all this requirements. You have to go by each individual state's attorney general, and by the time it's said and done with, they say, okay, e-discovery comes back, says we have 20,000 impacted entities to to process, send out notifications, set up a call center for that, and potentially do the credit monitoring. It's X amount of dollars. Then they have that conversation. It's like, okay, are we going to do it? Are we required to do it? Is there a mandate like the SEC? Are they under CMMC? Do they work with the DIPCAC? Are they, what are the controlling factors for it? Most businesses do it because if they do have cyber insurance, it's going to cover that anyway.
Yeah.
So they do it. But we've been in cases before where the customer has said, no, we're not going to do it. So, okay, let me take a step back. We've been on a case very recently where client had great backups. They weren't worried about forensics at all. They just wanted us to come in to do what's called threat actor communication, where we talk to the bad guys and we give them the proverbial middle finger and try to get them to talk down, flea market style
Right.
almost. And the main goal was for what we call non-disclosure of the impact entity, right? So we come up with a price and we pull Will Smith and say, how much is it going to take for you to keep our name out your MFML, right?
Yeah.
And that's a tactic that some companies do. It's like we're just not. We don't care what the impact is. Nobody's going to know because it's under attorney-client privilege, and nobody in my company is going to talk about it. But I'm referring to the impacted entity. It's not going to
Right.
talk about it. And we just need to make sure our name isn't put out there.
Right.
And we've been brought in for cases like that. So that is a tactic. There's so many different ways to handle a particular case. It's so nuances. Like, what are the individual, the particulars of each case, and kind of go from it. It's definitely not a cookie cutter. Sorry,
Right.
I just went like,
No,
woo.
no,
If
this
you
is
don't know,
great.
I'm
I'm
ADHD.
I'm learning so am I. Speaking of neurospicy. Yeah, I'm there. I'm there with you. Can you be confident in doing a recovery before you get through the logs?
Okay, it depends. I spend too much time around legal people. Um, So, in a forensic operation, at least here at Barricade, and I know some other ones, I know not all do this, but some of the more mature forensic firms, we do what's called um, a initial forensic assessment. So we
Right.
run a couple tools and we get a snapshot of, okay, what potentially happened on this individual device, because we may be looking at 5,000 devices. So we got
Right.
to quickly assess what are the important ones and which ones do we not care about.
Right.
So we're running through that initial assessment results, and then we're like, okay, based off of this 800 devices we don't care about, we're good. You can do whatever. If they've been impacted, You can do recovery, rebuild, whatever you want to do. We're going to focus on these two and kind of narrow it down. Can we run a deeper collection tool to get the forensics that we need to process it? If the client is uber pressed, aka and they're in the medical industry, or some just very high demand, like they're it's patient care, it's life threatening type of stuff. What we will do sometimes is even fly out and we'll take what's called full disk images of as many devices that we need to. And as soon as we take that full disk and we verify it, we release it. Here, go do this one, go do this one. And it literally is almost like fast food. It's a train, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of go through that. So that way, you have everything you need, again, to make sure you get the heck out of the way for recovery efforts.
Right. Right. Yeah, because that's important, right? Like as they're down, they're struggle bussing on the income level.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Ugh." It all stopped all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, okay, so we're coming up to the end of our hour. Look at that. So painless and easy. You had so much fun, didn't you?
Yeah. I can go long if you want.
I know. What you doing May 13th?
I'm being here. What time am I being here?
No.
Oh.
I want you to come. Well, you gotta come here to New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. Let me double check. My daughter is doing a tournament.
Okay, that's important. See, we gotta
Yep.
check stuff. Family time.
Oh, May 13th. I will be in California, unfortunately, for a conference.
Oh, you gotta send somebody though, because you gotta send somebody to do B-Sides NOLA. And everybody, I am still looking for a guest for that special Tuesday live stream that we're going to be doing live from B-Sides New Orleans.
I can be remote if you want.
Oh, we could. That could be. Could you? Because are you doing conference stuff that day? Like
I am, but I can still dip away for about an hour or so.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. We might do that, and then we can continue some of this because that's gonna be a good time.
I could probably send Justin out there. He likes doing B-side stuff.
Justin! Who's Justin? Where's
Justin Gold?
Oh, great. Justin, come on. It's so fun. It's the best kind of nerd time ever. I really like our B-Sides NOLA. And that's not just because I recently was named part of the leadership team. That's just because
So you're not partial at all.
I'm not biased at all. No, I really do. What's great about it is that it's so weird. It's like it's become so you know how right the last end of the end of July and the first part of August is like Hacker Summer Camp in Vegas.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I foresee a similar future for New Orleans. So they've got B-Sides and then it butts right up next to NOLACon.
NOLACon, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a week. So that's like B-Sides they always talk to each other. They're like sister conferences. So they make sure that their schedules don't conflict. But B-Sides is on a Tuesday and then there's 2 days of NOLACon workshops and then 2 days of NOLACon conference. So if you really want to come hang out in New Orleans, I'm just saying, you could definitely spend a week here easily. All kinds of fun learning opportunities, fantastic talks. They're going to be selecting talks for B-Sides NOLA, I think this weekend, huh, Najo? I saw Najo pop up at some point.
Well, we talk about it off air, but should be leaving out of California for NetD on that 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So I could swing over to New Orleans Thursday night and hang out Friday and just head out Friday night back to Charleston.
That could be fun. Okay.
That's enough lead time for you to pivot some conversations if you want.
Yes, definitely. Okay.
We're making plans live on air. How you like them stuff?
That's how coffee talks should go. Look, take notes, man. This is how, this is exactly how every time you hang out with somebody new within the industry should go. It should be a little fun, a learning experience on both ends, hopefully. Although I feel like Eric's been doing the schooling today. And, you should have a good time with it. Make friends. And don't send me scheduling emails to do that. Like, you guys, I have overloaded Meg this week. You have no idea. I don't know what happened, But I got excited about meeting everybody for like these virtual coffees that I like to set up, and it's Meg's responsibility to figure out how that fits into the puzzle piece that is my schedule. And it's been stuff like where we're introducing clients to vendors that are specific to their project needs, where we're introducing vendors to B-sides, where we're introducing I'm meeting people for the first time kind of thing, and it's just been a lot. So if anybody sees is connected to Meg Jet with 2 T's, it's Jet Tata on LinkedIn, send her a little note that just says hang in there. She's doing great. We love it so much. Eric, thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
to talk to us about digital forensics and incident response and what it is that you guys are doing over there at Barricade. It's been awesome. I can't wait for us to do it again. We'll definitely look into doing a virtual event. Audience, as always, thank you. I know we've got a shared audience today with some of Eric's crowd, so I appreciate you all. It's very nice to meet you. You can follow more live streams from the Coffee Table Talks at the Human API on the YouTubes or at Secure Nation at that QR code up there on LinkedIn. We do live events also on Twitch if you're feeling froggy. And if you're like my mom and hang out on Facebook, you can go to Facebook too. That's fine.
Oh, the crack book.
I like to make things accessible like that, you know. Not everything, but some things like networking events should be in a couple of different. What kind of bows can't you tie? Rainbows. Wow. Coming in with the dad jokes. Next week, if you guys tune in, we're going to have a very good friend of mine, Gabriel Friedlander, who is the CEO and founder of wiser-training.com. They're an amazing company doing some amazing things, especially in the space of security awareness training, which is also starting to pivot, by the way, for some of you who didn't know, as human behavior modification, I think was the term that I saw recently from our pals over at Living Security, which is very cool. Anyhow, they've got a lot of free content out there that is available to spread the security awareness good word, and as well as, you know, they've got some stuff that'll integrate with your LMS and everything else. Your learning management system. Yeah. LMS.
Way too many
Acronym
acronyms.
soup. I love acronym soup. Anyhow, so we will see you next week. We're going to be at our regularly scheduled time, which is roughly, is that 11? I think we're doing that at 11 a.m. Central next week too. Meg will correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Thank you, Meg. It is. It'll be 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And you guys have a good one. I'm so glad you came to hang out. This is the part where we wave like we're a bunch, like, what are those old TV shows? I don't know. Anyway, bye,
Like
guys.
Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, like Leave It to Beaver.